Hello, I am William S. Jagetz, founding principal with Family Financial Management Practice. We are a wealth management firm focused in areas of tax planning and estate planning. Here on the YouTube channel, we talk about issues around legacy planning for art collectors and artists. Today, we're going to talk about some examples of Black art collections who have engaged in this process and are set up to leave a legacy for the collectors and a gift to their communities. And they are already, most importantly, they're already being a gift to their communities now. So this bit of legacy planning doesn't have to wait until you're dead. It will carry on past their current lives, but they're doing the work now. And that's what you want, is to see it happen and know that it's going to continue to happen after you're gone. So please like, subscribe, and share the videos. It's useful information, useful and interesting, I think. And I appreciate you being here, and I really appreciate you subscribing and sharing this. So thank you in advance for that. There's a button right there on the screen for that to make it easy. So we're going to talk about the Kenzie Collection. We're going to talk about the Elliott Perry Collection. And we're going to talk about the Petrucci Family Foundation art collection. These are all African-American art collections. And we're going to talk about the Reginald Lewis Art Museum in Baltimore. So 4 different entities. They all manage this a little differently. Just some ideas. You could do any of these. You don't have to do any of these. You could do them on a much smaller scale. You don't have to have more than 700 works of art in your collection to do something like this. So 2 of these are foundations. I know that. The other 2, I think they're set up as trusts, but I'm not absolutely certain. It doesn't matter. They engaged with their estate planning professionals and came up with a strategy that made the most sense for them. You will do the same. Family Financial is very happy to help you with that when it's time. I do want to step back and acknowledge I am today in the Ubuntu Gallery, which is the gallery of fine art photographer Stephen C.W. Taylor, brilliant photographer, friend of mine. Thank you for allowing me to shoot here today. This piece is called The Ave. It's a beautiful work, and it's an urban sunrise. It's just absolutely captivating. I grew up right here. So one of the reasons this is one of my favorites. I grew up a block from this corner. My mother was a crossing guard here for like 30 years at this very intersection. And Stephen grew up like 2 blocks over there somewhere. So we've been neighbors much longer than we've been friends. But, we're friends now, and he's incredible. The Ubuntu Gallery is in the Germantown Arts District of Philadelphia. And if you are anywhere near Philadelphia, you want to check it out. His link will be in the description and in the notes. So check that out, and thank you again, Stephen. Back to what we're talking about, I'm gonna start with the Kenzie Collection. It's the biggest. They have over 700 works of art in their collection. Shirley, Aaron, Bernard, Kenzie have been traveling the world and collecting for a very long time. And their motivation, I'm not going to get into everybody's motivation for collecting because that's a whole story. But theirs, was because their son, there were gaps in his education in terms of African American history, American and global. And they figured, you know what, we have the means, we should do something about that. And they started collecting, and it clearly blew up to be a big thing. So now this collection is focused, as far as the visual arts, the fine artists, black masters. So they've got the Ernie Barnes, they got the Alma Thomases, they've got the Charles Whites, they've got the the black artist masters, historically. They do have some contemporary work, of course. They have Bisa Butler and some other contemporary artists in their collection. Bisa Butler's also a master. Their collection also includes artifacts, so old books, letters written by Malcolm X, letters written by Martin Luther King Jr. to various entities. So their collection is art and artifacts. They don't have a location per se. I mean, clearly the art has to be somewhere. It's probably spread out in their various homes, but it travels a lot, and they don't parse out pieces individually to curators. They send out whole exhibitions, and so you'll see their exhibition at museums, at universities that have art museums or art galleries on campus, even exposition centers, expo centers. They send out a whole show. The collection's big enough that they can send out 3 different shows. And it comes with lectures, educators. There's a whole program. Their collection has been seen by in excess of 15 million people, from DC to China and lots of places in between. So, they've got more art than a lot of museums, but they're able to fulfill their legacy goals, which is, to tell their story through their art collection without having to open a location. And that's, that's one way to do it. And it makes a lot of sense, because you don't need a building, you don't need any of those things. You do need the relationships. First, you need the collection. Then you need the relationships with the curators, etc. People have to know what you have, what exists, what educational value it has. So all considerations when you're thinking about, how to forward your legacy via your art collection. The next one is a little different. This is a private collection. It's not incorporated. They're probably in trust. But the Elliot Perry collection. Elliot is a former NBA player. There's a lot of art collectors, heavyweights in the NBA, current and past. But Elliot Perry is one of the bigger ones. Now his collection, I think, is just under 200 pieces, so not nearly as large. He and his wife, Kimberly Perry, started collecting again with the old masters, Jacob Lawrence, Elizabeth Catlett, Buford Delaney, Ed Clark, etc. And then shifted to contemporary artists because they wanted to be in a position to develop relationships, work with living artists, and help some artists to achieve status where they could be masters one day. Because without patrons, art is hard. And the masters, all the names that they had patrons. And if they didn't, you wouldn't know their names. So think of that as you're collecting. I'm not telling you gotta collect contemporary art, but for a lot of collectors, it's a thing. It's, helping artists who are working right now to achieve a status where they are recognized and can become culturally relevant. We can't do that for Frank Bowling, but we can do that with like a Danielle Scott, who is at it all the time, every day. Check out her work. I'm going to leave that in the show notes. Also, a link to Danielle Scott's work. So the Perry collection, private collection, kept at home, probably multiple homes. They, a while ago, did 2 museum shows simultaneously. So one was at the Flint Institute in Michigan. The contemporary part of their collection was at the Flint Institute. The Charles Wright African American Museum had the modern art, or the masters, in that exhibition. Both shows went on simultaneously, which is a pretty big deal to have, 2 full-on exhibitions going at the same time in the same geographic area. It's a great way to tell the story and show the progression of their collection, and bring audiences to 2 different institutions, audiences that may not otherwise have been there. So while they did those 2 exhibitions, their strategy is more like individual works going out in exhibitions. So again, they communicate with curators who will approach and ask them if they can travel this work or that in this or that relevant show, and making sure that you have those relationships, that curators and relevant institutions know what's in your collection, so that they know where to find what fits with the work they're trying to do, is huge. And that's the strategy of the Perrys. Artwork Archive, who is my affiliate partner, they are great with that. So one, archiving your collection, making sure that it's visible, can be easily shown publicly. You can make public whatever you want. You can keep private whatever you want. And it's a really great resource for communicating with curators and institutions what's in your collection, so that, if you are wanting to, as the Perrys do, make your work available to exhibitions around the country, around the world, then that's a great way to link up and connect. So Artwork Archive, thank you very much. And their link is going to be in the description also. Now, the Reginald Lewis Museum in Baltimore is a private art collection amassed by Reginald Lewis, who was the first African-American billionaire in the country. And he was an avid art collector, and he endowed a museum that is a physical, actual building museum where you can go. I've been, you should go. And like any other museum, tour the collection. His collection is the permanent collection there, but they've got curators and educational departments, so that there are periodic exhibitions that change over, like any other art museum. But it features his private collection, and it continues his legacy. So that's another strategy. The Petrucci Family Foundation collection. Now this collection, the director is Ms. Claudia Volpe, who I know, and I'm going to ask her to be a guest on this for one of these videos one day. She manages that collection. It's about 500 pieces. It's a little different than, say, the Kenzie Collection, because this collection was accumulated really quickly. So they had an educational purpose in mind. And the Petrucci family, that's the they. And they had the money to make it happen. So while these other collections are accumulated over time, you know, most collectors don't start out as, almost nobody starts out as a collector. You're a buyer, and then you bought a bunch of stuff, and then you look at it and say, oh, most of the stuff fits this category. I think that's what I like. And then your collection starts to take shape over time, and depending on your means and your passion, it grows the way that it grows. The Petrucci Family Foundation, I think, and I'm going to ask Claudia this when I speak with her, hopefully here, their collection grew pretty quickly. I know they had an educational mandate, and they just decided, you know what, this is a way to do it. And that's what they did. So their collection lends to museums and campus-based galleries. They have curators, educators employed by the foundation because their collection continues to grow. None of these collections are static. They all continue to grow. And they published a book recently. The Petrucci Family Foundation did the Shifting Time publication. So this is a book of works by, I think there's about 30 artists in here. And they all the works in this book were created during the pandemic. So that's the theme. Another thing to think about, if you have the work, you can, you know, get a publisher. A book's not a bad idea. This is a pretty good revenue source. I would imagine it's going to be a pretty good revenue source for them. It's a beautiful book. They had a book signing recently at the Woodmere Museum in Philadelphia, and probably half the artists in the book were there, and you know, exhibition in line with that. So they send work out, like I said, to museums. It could be like a whole exhibition, or it could be a couple of pieces to fit into some other show or context. And, you know, solid relationships with the museum community and independent curators, so that their work is able to go out like the others and have the desired impact as far as, you know, education and just recognition of African American artists and the impact that their work has in our communities. So I think those are great examples, a couple of really good examples of things that you might want to think about doing, you know, or just directionally. You know, what does it mean for my art collection to, you know, become a legacy? What does it mean to, you know, develop my legacy through my art collection? That's what it means. These aren't the only ways to do it. There are other things you could do, but I thought these were some good examples. So thank you for your time today. Thank you, Artwork Archive. Thank you, Stephen C.W. Taylor. And please like, subscribe, and share the videos. And I will look forward to talking with you again soon. Be good.